All right, we're live. This is it. We're doing it. This is the first time using this. So hopefully we'll be able to. All right, we got some people coming in. This is brand new digital studio desk. So if we're having some problems here to talk about some stuff, we'll be able to kind of fix it as we go. But yeah, I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about, this severe situation that we're going to end up having later this afternoon and, of course, this evening. I wanted to answer any of your questions that you could potentially have. We're just going to go over all the weather stuff and everything, as we go. My name is Meteorologist Ryan Gold. So we're just going to kind of cover it. Feel free to put in your comments. I should be able to see them on this brand new fancy system that we've got going on. So anytime you guys have a question, just let me know. Put it, of course, in your comments, and I'll be able to see it, and I can put it up, and we can talk about it, assuming that this does, in fact, work. There we go. Here we go. The first one. Let's see if we can show this. There we go. Deborah asks, what time is it supposed to start? All right. So, of course, biggest question. The timing is going to end up being here. Actually, we can. If I go over here, this is so fancy, guys. You're going to love this. This is crazy. So let's actually start off with, we'll talk about the timing with this. So I'm going to set that up here, and we're going to do this. Get a load of that. Ooh, picture in picture. Look how great that is. Lovely. Now I'm covering myself with the comment, so let's hide that. But yeah, that's our first question is, what time does this start? Well, the time that it starts is likely going to be around 6 o'clock on the plateau. You can see basically as it moves forward, we're likely going to end up getting it not fully where it needs to be. I mean, it's breaking apart. It's constantly changing. This whole entire system in general looks like it's still going to be coming through around 8, 9 o'clock. Looks like it's lagging now. So there was an actual update. So this is brand new information that we're seeing here. Still going to start off at 6 o'clock on the plateau. That's number one right there. So you're going to be talking about Sewanee, Pikeville, Crossville at first. Now, these models aren't particularly explosive, but they have gotten a little bit stronger than they have before. It's these things. You see that? See, it's very hard to see if can't really zoom in here on this, but honestly, you see this dark orange, this dark kind of brown, that is the potential for the strongest severe storms there. So that's going to end up being pretty much where we expect to see some of these severe storms. I mean, it's just going to be a very serious situation, guys, and that's why we're kind of here to talk about it in a nice, calm, casual way before things get kind of moving and grooving. So they're going to start at 6 o'clock, head into Chattanooga. Now it looks like 9. To be honest, I have a feeling that most of these are going to be a lot faster than what these models are suggesting. So they'll probably still get to us by around 8 o'clock. And another dose for our south around Dalton and Calhoun. That's looking to be a bit further into the night, probably around 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So it's going to be a very long-lasting system. We're looking at very intense situations for threats. I mean, these are highest level threats that I've seen in a very long time. Noel asks, is there forecasted heavy rains also? Yes, there are. Heavy rain, flooding potential. I mean, we're going to end up having that, I'm sure. I'm going to move myself. I'll see if I can move myself up a bit more. I can't. So this is still new. We'll do that. Yeah, okay, that's right. When I show a comment, I'll just move up a little bit and we can move back. It's all fancy. It's all new, so we're still working it out. But yeah, so here's our main thing. So let's show this. This is going to end up showing everything that we possibly need to have. Tabitha Curtis, yes, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're making sure, answering all your questions that you got. We'll go as long as we need to go to kind of get you guys ready for this. Of course, we are not alert yet. This is not a active situation. This is just to kind of get our mojo run and answer questions. I'm sure you guys have a lot of them. So this is our main thing that you can see here. We're looking at tornado risk actually being pretty high, and not only high, but significant. So let me jump up to that so you can see that right here. Significant tornado. That's the dashed lines that you see here. This means this is hatched, we call it, with the Storm Prediction Center. That means that there is a significant tornado risk, EF2 or stronger. And 10% is very high. I mean, from what I understand, the Easter 2020 tornadoes was 5%. I'm not going to say that this is going to be exactly like that, but I'm saying this has the potential to be significant. I'm not trying to overhype this, but this is a 10% risk here with the hatched lines, EF2 or stronger. So it's going to be pretty strong. Just keep that in mind. That's the biggest threat, to be honest. This is the thing that stands out to me the most. We always get strong winds. We always get, heavy rain with these things and frequent lightning. Absolutely. Yeah, Justin Abraham. Well, here, you can take a look at this. Justin Abraham says that Easter 2020 was a 5% risk and their house got hit. Well, we're at 10% risk and hatched. Hatched, I'm going to stress again, meaning that it is a EF2 or stronger. And here, let's just, off the top of my head, I cannot remember what the wind speeds are for an EF2. So let me just bring this up again. So EF2 is 111 mile an hour winds to 135 mile an hour winds. Now, this does not mean that we are going to get those. I really hope that we're not. But it's still something that you're going to want to, keep in mind. Let's turn that off. So, yes, tornadoes are going to be a situation that we're going to have to keep in mind. Whether or not we get them, let's hope that we don't. But you're going to want to prepare for them if we do. So get an interior room. You're going to want to have a plan to get into an interior room. We're going to want to get to at least a basement if you've got it. Make sure that your family knows your plan. Make sure that your coworkers know your plan, because this could be during working hours. In fact, this is likely going to end up happening as you're driving home from work. So honestly, if you can get out of work early, do it. If you can stay home from work, maybe do it, especially at the ending of the day. If you need a note, I will hand write you a note and sign it and say that you can go home. I will take the heat for it because we want you guys to be safe. Either way. Yes, yes, Luke. I'll be your doctor's note. Our producers in the background commenting on it. But yeah, so timeline. That's another one. All right. Let's see where that one was. I'm just going to try to have you. There you go. Penny Reed Shank asks, what is the timeline? Well, let's go back to the models here, and we can kind of walk it through timeline-wise together, and we'll go with each town and each county. So it's going to start off around 6 o'clock out there in the plateau. It doesn't look as intense out there, so this is just the beginning parts of it. Is this a repeat of 2020, Brianna? I would not say that it is, but it has the same pieces and ingredients for it. Whether or not it actually still happens, we won't know until it happens, but you're going to want to prepare just in case. So this is going to start off around 6 o'clock. Now, ignore the intensity here because I don't fully agree with this. I think this is going to be a severe line the entire time. But just to kind of get a walkthrough of what we're looking at here, let's focus up on that one. And we'll get rid of the timeline comments so that way we can see me. We're looking at Chattanooga by around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock now. So it looks like the change now, these models are going to constantly be updating the entire time. So starting point now looks to be around 7 to 6, hitting Chattanooga by around 8 to 9. And that's going to continue to push through to Cleveland by around 9:30, 10. And another dose down there at Dalton, Lafayette, as well as Fort Payne and Rome by around 10, 15 to 11. So this is going into late in the night. I really hope that this just stays a solid line and comes through real quick all at once. I'm hoping that we're not going to end up seeing anything that will stick around for a long period of time. We want it in and out as quick as possible so we don't have to constantly be worrying about everything. But we're still having to, of course, keep that in mind. But it's going to push out by around midnight to 1 a.m., so it is longer. I mean, these models are going to constantly change. It could end up going back to 6 or 7 o'clock. So just stay with us because we're going to be constantly updating over the course of the day. Okay, let's take a look at some of these comments. Let's see these questions. Chattanooga about 8 and 9. Kathy Allen Miller says about right. 8 to 9 in Chattanooga. While I'm on this graphic, if you guys want to ask about places, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Let's take a look. Athens. Whoop. Miranda Cruson, Athens. So you're likely going to end up seeing it hit you guys at around 9:30. I would give you a cushion of about 9:30, 10:30 for you guys in Athens. Catoosa County. We need to have a county map here because I don't always remember exactly where the counties are. Hang on, actually, 1 second. Does anyone have a map of the counties that I can grab quickly? Yeah, we're just going to grab that so that way we can kind of keep an eye on that. Keep those numbers going. Thank you so much, everybody. This is Luke. He's a producer for Midday and on the evenings as well. Great guy, good friend. Okay, so let's go down to Catoosa County. All right, let's get rid of that comment. So I saw Catoosa first. I know I'm getting a lot of questions right now, so let's zoom on in there. So Catoosa County is right there. It's going to hit you guys. Most likely around the same time Chattanooga is going to get hit. But there you go. Bam, right here around 9 o'clock. So about 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock is likely going to be you. But keep in mind, I don't agree with the intensity of this. This has it breaking apart completely, and I don't really see that happening. So just in general, I think this is going to be a solid line the entire time. It's possible it could break up into chunks, and if it does, we'll be better off for it. But the more isolated the cells are, the easier they can spin out and rotate into tornadoes. That's what we look for even when we go for severe storm chasing, which I used to do in Wyoming. So the more isolated they are, the worse they could end up being. Dayton, Anita White asks, Dayton. All right, Anita, let's take a look at Dayton. Dayton's pretty much around the same time frame as Athens. So it looks like it's going to be around 9 o'clock as well. So just kind of that edge there. And it's the leading edge of this is that it's the most severe. Once that line comes past, you're good to go, basically, afterward. It's just going to be heavy rain and storms after the fact. And the winds are going to be all day long from the afternoon and even more so. East Brainerd, Kristen Danielle Panky asks, I hope I'm saying her name right. Well, we're keeping an eye on East Brainerd about the same time as Chattanooga. So I'm going to clump Chattanooga. So everybody from Chattanooga, Saudi Daisy, East Brainerd, we're looking at Hickson, Red Bank, North Shore, all those areas are going to get hit around roughly the same time. So about 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, maybe 9 to 10 on the back end. But that first initial hit, that's what we have to keep really looking for. Cleveland, so, ooh, there we go. Blake Gregory asks Cleveland. I'm seeing a lot of that. And Ocoee as well. So Kim Privet. And also, let's talk about Rome, too, from Trina Hale. Let's get them all at the same time. Ooh, Thunder Buddies, Shasta. We have to always shout out the Thunder Buddies. Anyway, so there we go. So Rome and Cleveland. Let's start with Cleveland first, and then kind of Athens area again. Cleveland, you're going to get hit first at around 9:30 to 10:30, and then Rome's going to get hit much later on. It's looking to be around 10 o'clock to probably around 11 is that full hour long thing. Each storm's going to last about an hour, but the first 30 minutes are the most severe. And then Ocoee also for Polk County, you're going to get hit roughly around the same time as Cleveland. It's about 9:30, 9:45. It might take another extra 15 minutes to get to you guys. Chatsworth from Kristen Nicole Jones is asking about Chatsworth. So we're going to end up seeing that hit also around about 9:30, it seems. I'm basing this all on this is a single solid line. This is going to be changing over the course of the day, so you're going to want to stick with us. But it seems to be hitting around 6 to 7 o'clock tonight and going into those overnight hours. Bill Race will be here to cover that as it's happening, as well as Lexi Horvath will be in the digital studio like this that I'm here with you to answer all your questions. Pikeville from Melanie Campbell Young. That's going to be one of the first places hit around 6 to 7 o'clock. And I'm sorry to say for you up there in Pikeville, everyone on the plateau, I'm going to focus in here. Everybody on the plateau, it is very possible that you guys could end up getting hit with it the strongest right off the gate. And it's mostly because of orographic lifting. Complicated science word, I know. But when moisture and everything at the surface gets lifted up over the mountain because of the breezes and because of the cold fronts, it ends up gaining strength. It happens almost every single time we have severe weather. It happened a couple Fridays ago. We had nothing, and then instantly, bam, because up over the plateau. So in Pikeville and everyone up there, you could end up getting some of the worst of it, some of the strongest stuff. So please have that plan in place. I know Bledsoe County actually has, I believe, school canceled today because of the severe threat, and some people might not be able to get home in time from work and school and stuff. So honestly, I'll write yourself a meteorologist's note and assign it that you can leave work early today. Honestly, your bosses are probably going to want to leave early today too. Hitting those roadways when this is going on, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be a fun time. Okay, let's see who else we got. Jade Watts asks, could it weaken? Yeah. I mean, anything can happen with weather. These systems are so volatile. I'm thinking that it's going to be weakening through the area. Almost every single system, every model I've seen, regardless of intensity, does have it weakening as it's moving through the area. So as it breaks apart, it's going to be a lot better for us. But there's still some holes and pockets that will still be pretty strong. So you're going to want to at least keep that in mind. I mean, it could weaken and then gain strength in some places. Whoever gets rain first is going to be better off because it stabilizes the atmosphere. So once that gets stabilized, the storms aren't going to be nearly as strong. That also happened on Friday. The problem is we are warm all morning long. We were at 70 degrees at 12 a.m. this morning. We have not had a break from the heat, and that creates instability because hot air rises, and that rising is food and fuel for storms, and it's going to be all day. Luckily, the sun's not out. If the sun was out, I'd be really concerned because that makes it even worse because it really cooks us up. But just keep in mind here, I'm going to go back to this graphic that we can all just keep an eye on while I'm just doing my thing and talking about in general, because this is basically everything you need to know in one graphic. Not timing wise, sure, but it gives you the risks and everything else. So while we're answering questions, we can keep this up and we'll go back to the other maps. We keep an eye on things. But if there's any questions you have in particular, it's all over the Weather Channel. Yeah, I mean, this could end up being the biggest event of the season, to be honest. I mean, this is going to be a very strong system in general. Sail Creek included in the Pikeville threat level. I mean, everybody is at the same threat level, but since Pikeville is going to be at the front of it, they're going to get a brunt of it. Once it comes off the plateau, things do change. It's the fact that you get up over the mountain. So on the plateau itself, if you're on the plateau, you could get hit with the brunt of it. If it's down, it might not be as bad, but these things are constantly going to be moving up and down with the lift from the heat and lift from the front itself. It's just that extra oof. Can we show the Cape energy? I don't have a graphic for that at the ready, but I can show you something else. So let me get that up for you, and I'll be able to show you this is what I looked for. So I saw that these storms were going to be strong right from like last Tuesday, last week. We even saw it. So I'm going to show you what I used to look for this. I'm going to get that NAM nest. I'm going to bring up convective. I'm just going to be messing with some stuff over here. Most unstable Cape. All right, so that's a good question about the Cape. Where is that? You, Tommy Morrison. Good question, Tommy. Cape energy. That's what we're going to end up seeing here, if we can. Well, I can't quite screen share that. So, you know what? We're going to do it this way. If we can. I don't know if I can. Dang. All right. Well, we'll figure that out for another point. But that is a still topic that I want to actually discuss. I can't show the Cape energy because I don't have my graphic for it at the ready, and it'll take too long to build, and we've got other things to talk about. But the Cape energy, from what I've been seeing, is very, very strong. And I will open it back up again so I can see exactly what we're looking at numbers-wise. But we're looking at around 2,000 joules per kilogram. More fancy word talk, I know. You don't need to know about this and that and the other when it comes to that. But it's still a great question nonetheless, because it's what we look for. CAPE is convective available potential energy. It's what meteorologists look for to see when we could see storms. And we were seeing it pretty much all last week, that it was getting bigger and bigger. And we do have some more CAPE that's coming in for next Tuesday or next Monday, but it's too soon to say exactly how strong it could get. But we're looking at 2,000 joules per kilogram. That is baseline. Why there are absolutely saying enhanced risk, tornado threat, this, that, and the other. It is just such a high risk. I mean, honestly, you're going to want to have your, how does it compare to 2011 and Easter 2020 storms? Roberto Rodriguez, hopefully I'm saying your name right. That brings up a good point that I could bring up again. Let's bring up the tornado outlook. Now, people have been saying before, I cannot confirm or deny what people have been saying, but I agree with them and I believe them because they have no reason to lie. The Easter tornadoes were a 5% tornado risk. That is the brown that you see here. The yellow is 10%. That means it's 5% higher chance of having tornadoes compared to Easter 2020. And not only that, it's hatched being these straight lines. That means that it could be EF2 or greater minimum. And EF2 is 111 mile an hour winds within the tornado itself. Now, tornadoes, of course, very small, mesoscale. So overall synoptic scale, which is bigger, meso is tiny, synoptic is bigger. Some fancy terms that you can learn. Why not? We're learning things today. That is the case that, I mean, it's possible that it could end up being worse. This has potential. That's all this means, is that there's potential for it to be the same or maybe worse as Easter. I'm not saying that it's going to be. I'm not trying to scare anybody. The last thing I want to do is make people scared, but this is the information that we have, and I'm basing my opinions solely on that. These are all my hypotheses as a meteorologist. I was not here for Easter 2020. Bill was. Bill could absolutely answer that for me. If he was here, he'll be here later. But from what I've been seeing and what I've been hearing, this has potential to be strong like that. Will it be? We won't know until it happens. But this is what we've been looking at. Tiffany Hall. Let's see. Any other questions? Brittany, I am so sorry that you're scared. I mean, I wish that we didn't have to deal with this, of course, but, you know, I'm here for you. We're all here for you. Lexi and Bill are going to be here for you. Of course, David is going to be here on his social media for you, even though he might not be in the building. We're all here. We're all making sure that you guys are okay. I mean, is it moving fast? Jade, I mean, it's too soon to know how fast it's moving because it's in Memphis right now. In fact, you know what? That brings up a good point. Let's take a look and see what it's doing now. At least the thing that I believe is going to be what we're looking at. So let's let this play out. It's loading. Let it load. There it is. Boom. So this is what was happening earlier this morning. This was going through St. Louis. That had a ton of severe storms with it. Tornado warnings galore this morning. It's actually winding down some. But that's not coming to us. That's staying up to the north and heading towards Ohio. That's actually the worst of the storms right now. But this is what we're looking at. What's bubbling up here in Memphis right now, this is what we're keeping an eye on. It doesn't look intense right now, but it did have a severe storm earlier. It does not have anything severe with it right now, though. But this is going to continue to build up over the course of the evening and even everything else to the south of it. To be honest, if I was looking at this right now, I would say we're going to be good to go. But that's how weather can change so quickly, is that over the course of a few hours from 10 o'clock to 7, as this continues to build up, it's just more and more of these small pockets coming through, very unstable air, heading right into our area. That's what we're going to keep an eye on. Will Cleveland get any of this? Everyone's getting everything. Everyone is getting everything with this system. Everyone is going to be getting something with this. I hate to say it. Don't want to say it. We shouldn't have to say it, but it's true. Everybody is going to be getting something. From what I've been seeing now, I mean, hey, it could do a complete 180 on us and move away completely and avoid us like 100%. There's nothing I want more than to be wrong. I wish I could be wrong. But everything I've been seeing, including the Storm Prediction Center, is really suggesting that it's not going to be. Decatur, Tennessee. Let's get back to timing. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, what is the timing? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to do this so that way we can get names and stuff up there. So, where did it go? I've lost it completely. Timeline. All right, here. You're there. Melissa Barham asks, what is the timeline for Cleveland? Now we're going to get back into that zone again. So here we go. Heading off to Cleveland. It's looking to be around 8 o'clock, well, more closer to 9 o'clock. This is the worst of it. But it's very tough with this situation because it's very broken up. I don't know if I agree with it. You know what? I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm gonna take a look at more high resolution models, and I'm gonna see what this is gonna say and see if I agree with this a little bit more. So bear with me here as I do this. Okay. Let me look at timing for that. Okay. This still seems to be the same that it was before. So I can't fully agree with this because I don't think this has changed much, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. The models do keep changing, Tony. They absolutely do. And that's just weather. Weather just constantly changes. It really makes things tough for me and all of us and everybody. But yeah. Okay. All right. So going back to Cleveland, it's based on what I've been seeing here, the fact that it's going to get to Chattanooga, I think, by around 8 to 9 o'clock. Did it change on me again? Come on. You got to be. Models really do not like me today. These are so inconsistent. And that just tells you how volatile this system is. Because models aren't really that good at detecting convective activity. This could be a complete line of severe storms. It could be pockets like what's going on in Memphis. It's really tough to say. It really is out. All right, well, let's talk about timing from based on what we've been seeing here, because this is likely going to change again. So just keep in mind it's going to be the evening and overnight. That is what's been consistent, and that's what's been staying consistent. So either way, it's going to stay that. But as we head into the evening, we're looking at potentially hitting Cleveland at what would be most likely around 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. But this keeps changing on me and being isolated like this. It's very possible that it could end up turning into this, which would mean it won't hit Cleveland until 11 o'clock or later. I don't like that these keep changing on me, guys. I really don't. We're going to have to keep an eye on this and cover things. That's the problem. You're watching me forecast live. Like, this is what I do every morning when I come in, or even before midday. You're watching it live. This is it. You're getting the front row seat here to looking at what I do and what I say to myself as I'm looking at the forecast. But this time, it's in front of 900 people, and you're all asking me questions. So I'm trying to just get everybody together. But yeah, no, I mean, it looks like it is going to hit Cleveland later now. I mean, with each passing hour, it seems to be getting later and later, possibly isolated pockets, which are not good. This isolated pocket in Pikeville looks to be pretty bad, but this looks already different than it did before. So, I mean, this is going to constantly change. We don't want it to be isolated. The more isolated it is, the higher chance it has to rotate and become a tornado. It's very unpredictable, you're right. And it's my job to try to predict it as best as possible. I'm doing my best. We're all doing our best out here. But yeah, but what we do know is that the threats are still there. But have your plans ready for tonight. You know, have your safe place. Practice it with your kids. Practice it with your spouse, significant other, your roommates. Plan it with your employees or your coworkers if you have to be at work late tonight. It's starting at 6 o'clock, and these isolated pockets are going to be one right after the other now based on these models. And these are pretty accurate this close and out. So, and they do look convective. Convectives typically are isolated and twisty and rotatey. So just keep that in mind. Brittany Holland asks, what if you don't have a safe spot? Please define what you mean by don't have a safe spot. I mean, any room away from windows is a safe spot. If you are in a trailer or a mobile home, you might want to go to a friend's house who has not a mobile home. This is one of those situations where I would say you're going to want to have shelter somewhere else. If you can, maybe go to a hotel if you can't get a house or something with a strong, sturdy foundation with foundations in the ground. Or at least something made out of brick or concrete, because tin and wood is not going to be that great with these situations. Is there a chance for tornadoes in Dayton? Asks Megan Elizabeth Higgins. Megan and everybody, there is a risk for tornadoes everywhere. Let's go back to the tornado outlook. This is the lowest risk we have is 5%. And 5%, from what I am to understand, was what the Easter tornadoes were. We got 10% going on everywhere, including Dayton is where you asked. Hatched areas, that's everywhere you see with a black line, means EF2 or greater potential. 10% chance. So just a normal 5% means rotation in general. Funnel cloud, EF0, rotation. Lines mean EF2 or stronger, meaning that we could get, of course, a funnel cloud or anything else, because that's how it starts, or stronger, meaning EF2. That's 111 mile an hour winds or stronger going up all the way to EF5. Hello, William from Grundy. And Jasper, Tennessee, asks Pam Henderson. What about Jasper, Tennessee? Well, If you're asking about tornado chances, like I said, everyone is going to have that chance. Everyone in the yellow is going to be in that. If you give me county names, I'll be able to get you a much better perspective than town names. Town names are better when we're actually going through it, but just in general, this is a big enough situation that county-wide instead of city-wide at this point. Dunlap, you're right on the base of the plateau, so you could get hit with some of the stronger stuff. Lori Adkins asks about Dunlap. You're going to end up seeing that. Hamilton County, Alicia. Okay, I'm getting everybody. Whew, everybody's coming with their counties now. I have unleashed an arsenal. All right, let's start up with this. All right. Are you guys asking about tornado chances, or are you asking about timing? All I'm getting is just names of counties. I need to know specifics so I can answer them properly. Walker County, no basement, says Lisa. Lisa Ray, you say that you don't have a basement. Do you have a room without windows? And are you in a mobile home? If you're in a mobile home, I would say go to a place, family or friends that have brick or concrete, or if you can, get to a hotel possibly. These things are going to last about an hour. So after the hour is up, you should be fine to be without any issue for tornado chances. Okay. Everybody's asking tornado chances. All right. Let's go through it county by county. As soon as I see it, I'm going to tell you. Murray County, Georgia. You are right on the baseline of that 10% tornado risk. Everybody is in a tornado risk. Everybody is in a tornado risk. I'm going to say it again. Everybody is in a tornado risk. The yellow just has the highest chance of strongest tornadoes. So Walker County, yes. Ray County, yes. Polk County, Polk County, you are in a zone that is not fully in the 10% hash mark. Still means that you could have a chance for tornadoes. They just won't be potentially as strong. This is all a potential thing. Everybody has the chance for tornadoes. About 10% chance of tornadoes, but that is still significant. The fact that this is hatched is significant on its own right. Come on, Cleveland schools dismiss early, to be honest. Yeah, but the storms aren't going to reach Cleveland from these new models that update on me every hour, basically. Has it at 11 o'clock after schools are closed. Bartow County. I'm looking at my cheat sheet. I got my cheat sheet right here. This is, by the way, this is every time you guys ask me about stuff during severe weather coverage, this is what I'm looking at. If you want to see, this is my cheat sheet. I still need it. Bartow County. I don't actually see that on my list. Where is Bartow County? Timing is very different now. It's going to still be in the evening, but it constantly changes. Logan Hall is asking timing. Now it looks like it's going to start around 7 or 8 o'clock and be able to go all the way until around 11 to midnight, with each passing storm coming one right after the other. But luckily, the good news is if you get a weak storm to start, the other storms will not be nearly as strong. So if we are able to break off the overall piece of what we're looking at and it comes through, it stabilizes the air and it won't be bad enough, or it won't be as bad to have these things. That's what we're hoping for, is for these storms to come through before we get anything else. And then as the stronger cells come in, they will likely not be as strong. Hamilton County, you are well into the zone for 10% risk for tornadoes hatched, meaning EF2 or higher for those of you who are just joining us. Bartow County is between Calhoun and Cartersville. I'm still not seeing it here. But if Calhoun, Georgia, or Calhoun, Tennessee, Janet? Montgomery County, Clarksville, Tennessee. I believe Clarksville is off towards Clarksville is absolutely going to be in that zone there. Clarksville, everything west of Nashville is well into that as well, and anything in between us and Nashville are going to be seeing that. Stark and Summit, Ohio. Not quite in my jurisdiction for that, but Ohio is, at least South Ohio is in the worst possible place for the severe weather right now. So yes, Bartow is in Georgia. You think it might be out of our viewing area, but it does look like everything down towards Atlanta is going to be in that zone. But off to the border of North Carolina isn't going to be in that zone as much. I'd love to be able to help you, but I got to focus on our friends here. I don't know how much longer I can be on here because I believe somebody else needs to use this. But I mean, keep these questions coming. It's why we're here. It's why we're activating this. And of course, this is going to be saved and posted so that way you can rewatch it if you need to. So let's see. Bartow is in Atlanta area. Okay, let's take a look. I can just drag it down. Atlanta, you are going to be in that hatched zone. So we are going to be in that severe situation there. Real quick question. I'm going to mute myself. All right. Sorry, I had to mute myself real quick. I got to ask some people some questions. But we're going to keep going. I mean, this is great, guys. It's great. Ask away. I mean, I'm here. We're holding hands. This is me holding your hand. I can't. Here, I'll reach into the camera and hold your hand. We're doing it together. How bad is Athens, Tennessee going to be? Let's go back up here into our viewing area. So Athens is right on the borderline. The best place to be is a borderline when it comes to these kinds of things. So, you know, being in Athens is right on the border with that. The further into the area you are, the higher chance, of course, it's going to end up being. What time is the worst coming through for Walker County? I think now is a good time to go back into timing. You guys have seen, are we okay? Are we okay with the tornado chances? Everyone's getting one. But some people are going to have a higher chance than others, and that chance will be included very strong, severe tornadoes. That's pretty much Cleveland to the west, the plateau as well. Dunlap, Tennessee is included in that as well. So let's talk timing. We all want to know timing. I'm sure we got some new fresh faces in here asking, when's it coming? Well, it is coming in what seems to be now the form of multiple broken off storms, which could actually be good for us. So if it starts off on the plateau at 6, 7 o'clock, it's going to be kind of the borderline of the plateau. So it might not be fully in. But you see these small pockets of things like going through Pikeville and Chattanooga now, the more we get of those, the better off we're going to end up being by around 9:45, 10 o'clock. The more rain we get, the better off and more stabilized the atmosphere becomes. And if that happens, then we're actually going to end up being in a much safer space because there won't be as much instability for the storms to eat up. Instability is the food for storms in this case. So, yeah, I mean, there you go. Murray County. Murray County. I've got that one. So Murray County, including Dalton in with that, looks to be okay until we get to around 10 o'clock based on these models. Now, I'm going to stress that these models have been annoying me. They've been constantly changing since 4 a.m. this morning, and they don't seem to really agree. But where they do agree is that it's happening in the overnight hours. So it's going to be more so a nowcast instead of a forecast. So we'll be able to still call these things hours in advance and give you plenty of time. But this is just a baseline borderline questionnaire that we've got going on here. So for Dalton, it looks to be around 10 o'clock because these systems, instead of being a straight line or a few scattered cells popping in from the south, you can see that they're not really all put together. And at this point, based on even what I've been seeing in Memphis, I could kind of agree with that since they're coming in from our southwest. So if we do get these storms ahead of time, things will be a lot better. But you could still see them. I mean, we could end up getting one large cell that's severe the entire time and nothing else. We could end up getting a large band of squall lines. It doesn't look squall anymore. It looks convective, isolated. But isolated cells are the ones that can rotate more, which is probably why we've got such a high chance of, storms. Oh, no, it's still going to be prominent. This says went from being the most prominent storms this year to pockets of storms. This is still going to be the most significant of the year, I'm still sure. These things are going to be strong. They might not be all put together in a form of a line, but they are going to be strong pockets. Like, don't let that fool you. Like, we want you to be as prepared as possible for this. It could be the most prominent storm system of the year, let's call it. Instead of it being a prominent squall line, whether it's a line or these pockets of storms, it is going to be very, very significant. So, but yeah, you're right. Weather changes so quickly like that, but you're going to want to keep this in mind. I mean, we got these even small isolated pockets or not, they can spin out. The more isolated and tails of systems, the worse they're going to be. But it looks really bad now here at 10:30 around Rome, Fort Payne, heading to Chatsworth, Chattanooga by around 10 o'clock now. I don't know what that's about. Oop, glad you didn't see that. Woo! Anyway, but yeah, Chattanooga by around 10:30 it looks like now. Cleveland 11:30. And these constantly changing. I wish we could have these high resolution models, but it's looking to be more late evening. They could start up and then heading into the overnight hours. And I guarantee you they are going to change again, and it's going to be annoying. So, yeah, honestly, this is a good point. We're not really going to know until we get further into the afternoon. I mean, these models are going to change on me 8 million times. They're going to change on Bill. They're going to change as it's happening. So to be honest, the only time that we can really see how things are going is if we can see them outside of the viewing area. But the timing wise still seems to be and has been late into the night or early evening. I don't think we're going to get storms in the afternoon. We could get a few showers, which would be good. We want showers. But I don't think that we're going to get anything severe until much later on in the night, 8, 9 o'clock. It's constantly changing. This is a constantly change. This is an extremely volatile system that is, consistently going to be a problem for us forecasters. Are we worried about supercells? He asks. Supercells are typically a problem for the plains out in Wyoming. I used to chase them. These, are very strong storms, nonetheless. Supercells, they could very well come through to our area, but what I would consider to be a supercell by those definitions would be more so in the plains. Our areas are more elongated. So those are small pockets of severe storms. We're going to have pockets, sure, but they're quite large from what I can see. And there's a chance that they could end up molding. Like, you see the space in between Chattanooga and Dalton? That could end up getting connected with, once again, strong storms. It's an idea of what we're seeing. I wish that it could really tell us what we're looking at more. Most of the time, these models are right on the money. But when it's convective like this, it tends to have a bit of a harder time. Hey, Ashley Hudson. Hello to you. Good morning to you. Okay. Cumberland Plateau. Good question. All right. So originally, it looked pretty bad to start in the Cumberland Plateau, but with these new models, which I'm not saying it can't go back to, has it starting off in the plateau, Crossville, Pikeville, Sewanee, probably not hitting you guys and maybe just missing you, but you'll be close enough that you'll hear it and things can break off. So I would say 6 to 7, but you notice all these light showers going on. We need them. We want them. Hopefully we'll keep them. But I think it'll be hitting you guys harder around 9:45 to 10. So originally it did look like the Cumberland Plateau would be bad at first, but now it doesn't look like it's bad. It looks like it's coming in from the southwest now. So Scottsboro, Fort Payne are going to probably get hit the hardest now, with the Sewanee area getting hit soon as well. So things constantly changing. And that I kind of do agree with based on what I've been seeing in Memphis. And we'll get to that in just a second, because Miss Shields, Ellen Jen, I'm not sure if I said your name right, but I'll call you Miss Shields, says, is the fact that the outside gloomy instead of sunny make a difference? Because I know Bill Race said usually the sun earlier in the day before a storm can intensify things. You're absolutely right. Sunshine creates instability, but so does the heat. And we've been hot since 12 a.m. this morning, and we have not had any cool down. So that heat does still cause, hot air rises. That rising is instability. It takes moisture, lifts it up, condenses it into clouds, rain, storms. In this case, storms. So the heat is still going to be providing intensity, but without the sunshine, it is helpful. So if it was sunny right now, I'd be more concerned. I am glad that it is cloudy, and the more showers we get beforehand, the better. Shasta says that the school in Jacksonville State University storms worry me for that area. It's very possible that you can have some very strong storms over there. Dalton, Georgia, Brandon Morgan asks. So I'm going to base this timing solely on these current models runs because I can't really base it on anything else. And it constantly changes. So that's what we're going to be focusing on now, starting from the southwest, moving up. So it does look like it's changed, and it's changed. You guys are getting the front row ticket to watching me frantically forecast because it's constantly moving and changing. This is what it's like to be a weather forecaster. It's changing on you all the time, and you have to try to clean out the gunk. So as I'm talking to myself, that's me trying to talk to you guys and kind of walk you through the process of me trying to figure things out. But Dalton, Georgian was asked. It looks like the worst of it's going to start around 10:15, around 10 o'clock, I would say, for you guys in Dalton. And then it's going to be moving off towards Chatsworth by around 11. So I would say the worst of it, once it hits you, should be done. It's the initial line, the initial punch is really what the worst severe stuff is. Once you're in the thick and the meat of the line, like once you're in these reds and oranges, it's not going to be as bad. Yeah, it's going to be windy, but it's the initial force of that push through that really causes the tornadoes and the strong winds and everything else like that. Dayton, Tennessee, asking that from Ashley Henderson. So Dayton, Tennessee, you're going to be on one of the other ends of the spectrum. It's likely going to hit you guys at around 10 o'clock, hitting around 11, 11:15, 11:30. It depends on how fast this thing moves. And I mean, it depends on its direction too. When it comes to the southwest, it's always trickier. If it was coming directly from the west, I would say that it's probably not going to get as choppy, but it is looking pretty choppy now. So 10, 11 o'clock out there in Athens. Oh my heavens. I have to share this one. I'm not even going to say it, but you guys can read it if you want to read it. But I'm calling you out on that one, Corvin Shea, because that was hilarious. And I love that. Athens, Tennessee asks Vicky Sue Spence. So Athens, Tennessee, likely going to end up seeing that around 11:15. It looks like you might just get shy of the side there, which would be very good news for you because you might not get hit with the brunt. But you mean the proximity to it is really what we're going to end up seeing. So I would say 11 o'clock. A lot of this seems to be getting later into the night now. Originally, this morning, it had it starting at 6 o'clock, ending around 10 or 11. Now it doesn't look like it's really going to be in the middle of it until 11 o'clock. So I wish it was more early because at night I know we all have problems with nighttime. You want to be sleeping, but you're too busy being worried. I've been there. I know. It's a problem. Have I talked about Hickson yet? I briefly mentioned it. I kind of couple Hickson along with Chattanooga and East Brainerd and Red Bank, North Shore areas. It's going to be hitting you guys and Chattanooga in general, most likely around 9:30. But you see that it's not really hitting us with the heaviest part of it, that red part. We're just in the green part right now, which is good because that creates stability. The rain, anywhere you see is light green before the red, we want that. That's what we want to have. The more rain you get, the stabilized the atmosphere becomes, and it won't be as intense. I'm not going to say we're completely out of the woods, but it's in the right direction. So it's going to be in the Chattanooga area by around 9:30. And then we could get another dose by around 10:45. And that'll be the loudest dose at around 10:45. But it does look like the strongest and most severe stuff is now going to be through Georgia and Alabama, which honestly, they did increase the chance for tornadoes in those areas. So, yeah, I think that we could end up having that massive situation move instead of the plateau to be more southwest. Originally, it was moving northwest to southwest, but now, or southeast, now it's moving southwest to northeast, which, if we look at the satellite image, which I'm going to bring it up, you could kind of agree with that. Oh, look at that. There's a tornado going on in Memphis. If you've got any family out there, there's a severe thunderstorm warning going on right there near Jackson Town, just northeast of Memphis. If you've got any family out there, check in on them. They got that tornado warning going on. But you can see that it's moving in from the southwest. My gosh, directions. Whoa. Anyway, so you're seeing that it's moving in this direction here. I can't pause it, which is a shame. But it's going to be moving this way. And you notice that it's very, very clumped. It's very, very clumped here. 1, 2, 3. So that seems to be why I start to agree with what we've got going on with our new model run. So I'm starting to agree with it more. I wasn't really agreeing with the intensity now, but I can get behind this a lot more now. So you can see that it's very fractured and broken, but this is what I'm talking about, guys. It's this. This is the strongest part of the storm. Clearly, it's orange. Heavy rain, strong winds, bam, right there. These storms, these severe storms are way, way far away from the overall large mass. And that's also where the tornado is. So that's what I'm talking about. Just because it's a pocket instead of a squall line does not mean it's any less dangerous or any less potential. So just keep that in mind. But this is confirming my suspicions now that perhaps the models are finally getting their act together. Will they stay that way? We'll find out at midday. But for now, they're what they are. 1 second now. Hour? My goodness. Time flies when you're talking to all these lovely people, all 1,032 of you. Anyway, we've got keeping an eye on other questions. Lafayette Ringgold area. So now I agree with what we're looking at based solely on, oh, look at that. There's another tornado warning that just popped up there right next to the first one. This is what I'm talking about, guys. These isolated pockets are not looking good. And that's what our models are looking like now. And I still don't want to agree with them. I don't know if it's that I don't agree with them or I don't want to. I like to be optimistic, but this is what we're looking at now. And the fact that these are very pockets, you know, you see these things near Pikeville. What does that look like? Broken off the overall mass from the larger cell to the south. Looks like Memphis right now. Just because they have that does not mean that we're going to have it, but these are the patterns that we have to look for. And that's what we're going to end up seeing here. So to answer your question, Lafayette and Ringgold, Georgia, we are going to end up seeing that hit most likely to the south around 10:15. It doesn't actually look like Lafayette is going to get hit that badly, but it's so close that we're going to want to prepare for that. But that's the thing with isolated pockets is that some areas could get something and others might not now. So while everyone has that chance and everyone has that threat, it's not necessarily mean that it's going to end up happening for everyone. But the potential is there. And that's really what we're focusing on. So Lafayette and Ringgold area, it looks like it might just be shy of you guys. It's weird how it's like, it looks like it's parting the Red Sea right in between you. How interesting is that? That is so crazy. Look at that. Wild. But yeah, so we're looking at that area being maybe safe from it. I'm not going to say that for sure. Cannot say it for sure because it's going to change again. But if it were to hit you guys, it'll likely be around 10 o'clock to around 11, at least in Ringgold and Lafayette, Georgia. Chickamauga area around that same, pretty much around that same time frame, around the Chattanooga time frame, as well as Lafayette and Ringgold. It's once again kind of in that zone of nothingness. And how great would it be if that happens? Oh, it would be amazing. But we have to continue to keep an eye on it as if it wasn't. I mean, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. That's all we can really do. But if it does come through, it will be around 10 o'clock to 11, and it'll be still really loud. And that's the problem with this. Once the initial impact comes through, chances are you're going to be fine. And because like that initial impact stabilizes the atmosphere, so everything behind it is not as strong. But, you know. So it looks like the worst of it could end up being through or just outside of Rome. So Atlanta area might actually get hit pretty hard. Fort Oglethorpe, same here. Shelby Taylor, along those same lines. Yeah, you're going to end up seeing around 10, 11 o'clock. Or they're all around the same general area. You're welcome. Dalton. Whoop, I missed that one. Dalton. Sabrina Lance. They can still hit there, Tony says. Yeah, that's basically the case. Just because it doesn't have it in here does not mean that it can't hit. So 10, 11 o'clock, roughly as of now, is still the time frame for that. Dalton, you're about the same. But 10:30, maybe we'll call it 10:30 instead of 10 o'clock. So 10:30 to 11:30. And then once that initial impact comes through, it stabilizes the atmosphere. And once it stabilizes, we're good to go. Well, not good to go. It's still loud and rainy, but the severe threat will be a lot lower. And that's really what you have to hope for. Lansing, Michigan. You're going to be in one of the zones, man. Kevin Butler asked about Lansing, Michigan. You got family out there? Do you live there? I got to focus on my people here in Tennessee. But Lansing, Michigan, I'm sure is in one of those areas where you're going to end up having or getting hit pretty hard. Mary Harden says, would you say Cleveland or Hamilton County would be safer? To be honest, I don't think either of them will be very much safer than the other. They're all going to be hit relatively at the same intensity. You can kind of see it from Chattanooga at 10:45, hitting Cleveland around 11. I mean, it's the thing with this is it's tough to really say. Like, I would like to use this as a 100% cut and dry thing, but these things are going to be moving as they do so. This is just kind of a baseline, and I would really agree with the fact that it's going to be a lot stronger to the south, especially as it's coming in from the southwest. But I wouldn't say that Cleveland or Hamilton County are going to be safer than the other because they're basically right next to each other. I would say they're both in the same threat level for tornadoes, hail, and wind, but I wouldn't say one is better than the other. But that brings up a good point that people have been asking about. If you live in a mobile home or a trailer, something that's made of not brick or concrete, you're going to want to go somewhere that is. I mean, I'd rather you go somewhere that is and be safe than risk being in your own home during these situations. Because I mean, I've seen situations where we weren't in nearly as high of a tornado risk level, and roofs are getting ripped off of trailer houses. Things are getting launched into, like, mobile homes are quite, they're not built structurally well wall wise that, I've seen even happened in Saudi Daisy last February, where a plank of wood got launched into the house because of a tornado, and it wasn't even that strong of a tornado. So I mean, go somewhere that has a basement, go somewhere that is made of concrete, solid foundation. I would get out of a mobile home or trailer if you have one. Hayla Mackenzie Miller asks, Rossville, Georgia, and Fort Oglethorpe area. So we had mentioned that a little bit ago, but we can go back in there if there's new people coming in. Lafayette and Ringgold are kind of on that zone where this is, where it's not really showing anything in there, and it's kind of a dead zone. That does not mean that it's going to be a dead zone, but the timing-wise looks to be around 10 o'clock to 11 for Lafayette Ringgold area. It'd be really nice if this actually was what we saw ended up today. I think we're going to be a lot better for it. I hope, and let's hope, that these models are what we're seeing, because there's only a few small pockets of severe storms, mostly out of our area, but they are going through some areas, but it's not as wide of a coverage. So let's hope that happens. Instead of everybody getting destroyed, we're not destroyed. You know what? Take that out. Cap that. Destroyed is way too overdone. I am not going to say that. Strike that from the record. Instead of everyone being in that threat, only a few people could end up being, which is nicer. And the more over land and emptiness or forest we are, the better. Which is also where, tornadoes tend to like. They like open fields, but they can also form on mountains. Not on steep mountains, but, up and over the mountains. So yes, not going to say destroyed. Get that out of my head. Get that out of your head. We're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. We're going to get to it together. It's going to be wonderful. Optimism. That's what I like to have. St. Elmo. So I'm going to put you in the same zone as Chattanooga, East Brainerd. I'm going to collect you all. We're going to call it Chattanooga Metro. So we're going to put us in Chattanooga Metro. We'll talk about that, starting off with a few showers. The more showers we get, the better off we'll be. So keep those showers coming. So showers going on around 6:45, 7 o'clock, then heading into the potential for storms by around 10 o'clock, heading into 10:45, 11, 11:30, 12. It doesn't look terrible here, but the intensities can change. I would say 10 or 11 will be the worst of it, but with those showers beforehand, if this does in fact happen, we'll be better off, and I doubt we'll have as much of a severe threat. These are all just the small pockets. Like, just starting off is bad. Like, heading into Scottsboro, Dalton area could end up getting hit pretty hard, it looks like, based on these models solely. Calhoun and Rome, Ellijay as well, and Chatsworth. Other than that, it's going to be loud, and we had the potential, but it might not be as bad, based solely on these models, frankly. Corvin, you can expect weather bacon as it's happening, because that's good. That's a storm track. So that's better to do as it's happening, because we have how fast it's going and its direction and speed. So that's all we need for those weather bacon areas. So I believe Lexi knows how to do that. And I'll have to show her if she doesn't, but she knows about the weather bacon. We all do. David has made it very apparent because he said, you need to know weather bacon. And boy, do I know it. I'm only getting the second half of your question here, Ashley. What was your first half of the question? Can the severe threat lower? The severe threat can lower. It can. Anything can happen. I mean, especially with how volatile these systems are, what I don't expect it to do is get worse. So that's good. Based on the cloud coverage and no sunshine, I don't think that's going to get worse than what we already have. Can it get better? Absolutely. I mean, it can only get better because it cannot get worse. So optimism. But also it can get worse, which is not great either. But, it can get better. And based on these models, I would suggest it is. If we get the rain beforehand, we are going to be so much better off. We will be so much better. What about the Virginia area? How are these people? I don't know if you guys live here in Chattanooga and are asking about family. I don't know how you're finding this, but Virginia area is going to be in that same zone. But I'm just kind of shocked that you guys are having. Here we go. Jonathan Condra, LJ, and Blue Ridge. Yes, I'm sure you heard me say that you guys could get pretty hard. So it looks like it's going to start off for you guys with some showers. Whew. Yay. We're going to have that 10 o'clock starting off with some showers in your area. The more rain you get, the better you'll be. That's the story here. That's the name of the game. So you'll get hit most likely with the stronger stuff by around 10, 11 o'clock. And then it could end up coming through around 11:30. I don't see anything that jumps out to me as intense or crazy based on these models. There's no deeper reds. You want to look for the deep reds. That's what you want to look for severe potential. There can still be severe storms in the red or orange. It's possible. But based on this, the worsts are going to be in the deeper orange or deeper brown, red. I don't know, whatever color that looks like to you. But LJ likely going to end up having that hit around 11 o'clock, heading to Murphy around 11:45, 12 o'clock. Light showers popping in and popping out. All right. Let's see another questions. Dayton Mount. What is this one? Well, Dayton Mountain. Did not mean to out you that in the comments. Dayton Mountain. So you guys actually look like you're going to be in one of those nicer zones of rain first. So you get more rain first, the better off you'll be. But what I don't like is that line of storms off to the plateau beforehand. It could stay out of your area. I hope it does. But the showers you get beforehand will be better off. But you'll likely end up getting hit with what appears to be the worst of it at around 10 o'clock and 11. It seems to be that's the theme here, is that most everybody's getting it hit at 11 o'clock, but at different places. So some areas are going to get it a little bit worse at different times. For instance, Lafayette's going to get hit at 10 o'clock, but then LJ is going to get it hit at 10:30, and it's just a fast-moving system in general. But this is going to just move around and constantly change, and I'm expecting it to change again before midday. So come in, check in with that. I'll be there for midday to explain everything. But yeah, so hitting Dayton around most likely 10 o'clock, 11. If Dayton is where Dayton Mountain is. I'm only assuming that's the case. Chattanooga East Ridge, Emily Williams and Melissa Jordan asking for Cleveland as well. You guys keep clicking things. I've not been able to grab them. Anyway, Chattanooga, I'm sure you guys have been kind of new in here. 9 o'clock for a few light showers. Maybe even as early as 6 o'clock, 7, the rain could start. And the more rain we get, I'm going to keep saying it again, better off we'll be. To the point where, and I will set precedent, a couple Fridays ago, we had some strong storms come through. And one was severe, but the rest weren't. And then when the other line came through, most of those storms did not end up getting severe. And so, booyah. It is going to end up being rain helps. It does not make things perfect, but it helps, just like the clouds do and lack of sunshine. So yes, Chattanooga, rain around 9 o'clock. Then it's going to end up hitting us with the harder stuff by around 10 or 11. At this point, it looks like around 10, gone by 11. Hitting Cleveland by 11 o'clock. And it does look like it could get pretty strong in the Cleveland area, which is general area, maybe not the downtown. And then it does end up moving off to Athens by what looks like 11 o'clock to midnight. And by midnight, it looks like everything is done. So I would say that by midnight, we're going to be good to go. A few showers left over after that point. But to start off, we are going to end up getting most of the strong stuff by what seems to be 10 o'clock to 12. So that is a difference here. But more things can pop up beforehand that could end up helping stabilize the atmosphere, and I hope it does. Input on Harrison area. Where is Harrison? Hamilton County. All right, well, Hamilton County in general is going to be pretty much the same story as pretty much Chattanooga, starting off around 10, maybe 10:30 if you're on the edge of it closer to Cleveland. But yeah, everybody, I mean, we are all in that tornado risk. Here, I'm going to throw up these threats again, just so we can kind of all talk about them together. Tornado threat's pretty high. I mean, it's not at high levels, but it's higher than we usually would put it at because of the risk of what we've got going on here. I mean, we've got hail potential too. We've got strong gusts, and it's going to be in isolated pockets. So there is a good chance that some areas might not get a single drop of rain. And if you're in one of those areas, you're very lucky, and I wish that you were everybody. I wish that this could miss us completely. And maybe it will. If I'm optimistic, I would say it will. But I don't think so. We are going to end up having that coming on through. Any information for Chickamauga, Georgia? Well, Logan Potter, let's put your thing up there, and Lafayette, Georgia. We're going to put Chickamauga for Logan, and we're going to put Hannah Ashley for Lafayette together in the same boat because they're all pretty close together, relatively speaking, in terms of storm coverage. I mean, you know, they're going to cover a wide area. So for that, it does look like you're going to end up seeing it around 10 o'clock to 11. But these models have it broken up. So that's what I'm saying. You know, some areas might not get anything. There's still a good chance that it could move into your area. There's a good chance that this could connect and become a squall line. Anything can change as it's happening, but this is just what we're having to look at. Wind speeds. That's a good question. Stephanie Len, great question. Let's look at that, shall we? There we go. We're going to be starting off in the afternoon and evening with gusts up to around 30 to 40 miles an hour, which on its own would require an alert day by itself, let alone what we're going to see later. But we could be seeing these wind speeds as it gets further tonight. Look at that. Those pink areas all throughout a storm. Now that is 50, 60, and on the edge of those, 30, 40. So within the storm, we could be seeing 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, and it's possible we could even get to 70 mile an hour winds if it were to be severe enough. We're not in hatched zones, so luckily enough for that. But tornadoes, you know, your wind speeds are looking at 100 miles an hour minimum for EF2. And that's what they expect to see Storm Prediction Center-wise, which is wild because they don't typically do stuff like that for this large of an area. So winds everywhere are looking pretty bad today. And severe hail is about an inch. An inch is about... trying to get it with my finger. My fingers are not quite an inch. I would say it's about that big, roughly, in diameter of hail. But that means that it's probably going to be quarter-sized hail, maybe golf ball, as the highest chance, at the highest or the minimum threshold for severe hail is that. And we've got a decent chance for it, 30%. Does it mean it's going to happen? No. But 30% is pretty high for this area and hail. So hail is something else we're going to have to keep an eye on too, not just the tornadoes, not just the winds. The winds we're going to have all the time anyway. Yes, Brittany, this storm will bring thunder and lightning. It's going to bring everything. Everything that's possible to happen in a storm can happen with this. I was saying it earlier, based on what I've been seeing, and that they haven't deissued anything or made anything lower, there's a good chance that this could end up being the strongest system in the season. Maybe the year. I wouldn't go that far. But the season, the month, for sure. But you don't typically see enhanced risk like this with a tornado hatched area of 10%. Will it be the same? Possibly. But this could end up being one of the worst, if not the worst, storms of the season. It's very possible. What? Hang on one second, guys. Okay, everybody. Last questions in, because I've realized that I've been talking for like 2 hours and I didn't realize it. You guys, time flies when you're having a talk with some great people. But yes, so we're going to actually just cover the main threats here real quick so that way other people can use this desk. We'll be back again as it's happening. And of course, check in with us on midday for any updates. We are at enhanced risk for severe weather. The timing appears to be the worst now at around 10 o'clock till midnight, but the storms can start, or storms in general can start as early as 6 o'clock with rain showers and general storms. They can also get strong then too, but from what I've been seeing on these models, it's going to be 10 o'clock to midnight. Stick with us, of course. We're going to have all these updates. There's a good tornado chance. There's a good hail chance. There are good wind gusts. Anyway, all right. To say goodbye to you all, thank you all for joining me with this. We are ending the stream.